I agree that there's generally an expectation of declining interest rates built into the markets. But how quickly and to what extent is still very much in debate, even in today's news. Dislocation between, or disagreement potentially between what the bond market believes and what central governments believe. But with that said, we do have an expectation that interest rates are going to decline and GDP growth will slow down and inflation will continue to stabilize. With all of that said, at Nuveen, we feel strongly that 2023, 24, perhaps even the front end of 2025 is a very strong investment opportunity and a very strong time in the market cycle to place capital to work. So one of our key objectives in Europe in particular is to put our quote unquote dry powder to work across all of our products because we effectively feel like it's a great buying opportunity. Well, there are a number of them. So the first I'll mention would be residential. We are in the early stages of building a very large allocation to residential across Europe. We're currently active in Spain, here where this conference is taking place now. We're also in Ireland, the United Kingdom, Germany, and the Nordics, particularly in Denmark. Over time, that will continue to expand. We are looking primarily at build-to-rent strategies. So we're currently constructing in all those different locations. But we're also exploring other subsectors of residential, such as senior housing, affordable housing. We're looking at senior affordable in the United Kingdom, where we're active right now. So residential is the first. We're still very active in logistics across the risk spectrum and across Europe. It's one of our more established sector strategies. Beyond that, we are quite interested in building a scalable retail parks business across Europe. So community retail would be the third main category. And then lastly, mixed use development. And so we have a long history at Nuveen, particularly in Europe, of constructing excellent real estate, particularly in the United Kingdom. But we've recently opened a brand new redevelopment in Amsterdam. We had La Félicité in Paris as another key example. So the ability to recreate, reimagine real estate is a big part of what we do. And it's something that we're interested in continuing to do over the next 5 to 10 years. I think that it's not something that you'll see us focus on likely over the next 5 to 10 years. We did make a move into Brazil about a decade ago. I was actually part of that initiative at the time. Great country. We purchased the shopping center in Sao Paulo. Unfortunately, the hedging costs are very high. So currency moved against us and commodities weakened, and Brazilian economy is very driven by the commodity sector. So we didn't have the best experience there as an example, but mainly we're believers in focus. Our current focus is in the United States, in Europe, and in certain countries in APAC. So I don't see that currently on our radar. Things can change over time, but our primary focus is building scaled platforms, particularly for me, in Europe, in those sectors that I talked about. Centers of expertise in residential. Self-storage is another big one for us. We've amassed over $1 billion of self-storage exposure, and our plan is to build out the largest private portfolio across Europe. The last 4 years have taught me humility in that we've experienced a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. And we are still dealing with the ramifications of that event across all markets, but particularly real estate. Everything that we're talking about with inflation and interest rates, which drive real estate, are the result of the pandemic. So taking a long-term view, of real estate, I think is an important lesson from the last 4 years. Having capital available to deploy in times of economic shocks is another key thing. I think that over time, real estate is losing market share as a percentage of overall asset classes in favor of technology, primarily healthcare related industries. But there's still a huge place for real estate in professional and personal portfolios. It's just the demand and the drivers of that are changing. So it's still an interesting asset class, one to focus on, and is a main pillar of Nuveen investment management globally.